What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. It is the 29th day of November. We don't even have a day and a half left in this month, guys. 9 hours, 47 minutes left in this day. I've got the list pulled up here, and SwiftCoin is up 10% today. SwiftCoin has flipped OnyxCoin in price. Which means that you've taken the lead on this 20-cent race that we've had for a very long time. 20 cents is such a long ways away from where we are now, but still the race is on, everlasting nonetheless. There's a couple of theories that I'm working out with this, right? Because if SwiftCoin is pumping 10%, 11%, OnyxCoin and SwiftCoin typically do pump together. Typically they do. For whatever reason, they dump together, they pump together. Their charts almost look the exact same throughout the whole year of 2025. It's kind of uncanny, right? Yeah. So one of two thoughts comes up. One, the obvious thought, the one that we all want, is that, wow, SwiftCoin's up, OnyxCoin's about to pump too. Or the more cynical thought, or the less pleasant thought is, well, OnyxCoin hasn't pumped yet. Typically, OnyxCoin actually pumps before SwiftCoin does. I feel like OnyxCoin typically takes the lead, and it has the higher market cap. So between two assets, the one that has the higher market cap isn't pumping. Two assets that basically perform the same for whatever reason. Maybe this pump is not real for SwiftCoin, right? And maybe it comes back. Maybe that's what it is. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that this is a foreshadowing of good things to come. For anybody that's like, why are we talking about SwiftCoin? If you don't know, if you're not aware, in case you're not aware, SwiftCoin and OnyxCoin, there's a little, is it dichotomy the right word? There's a little symmetry in the way that they move. So it's something that we've noticed, that not that I have noticed, but that we all have noticed. Anybody investing in both of those projects or either of those projects, we've noticed, dating back really to January. Anyways, here we are, 00556. Just because I've seen people on my X.com writing comments like, SwiftCoin's pumping, does that mean OnyxCoin's going to pump next? Maybe. I hope that's what it means. I hope it doesn't mean because OnyxCoin's not pumping that SwiftCoin's pump comes back down. I hope that's not what it means. I hope that they both lift together. Or maybe a third option, maybe SwiftCoin decouples from OnyxCoin and it totally just lifts on its own. I say decouples lightheartedly. They are somewhat similar. They're very comparable, but they're not the same project, right? I do have a theory. I do wonder if, and let's just compare these. Why not? We're talking about it so much. Let's just do it. SwiftC. New price scale. There we go. I mean, you look at it. Just look at how literally freaking perfect it is. It's quite literally the same chart, dude. Like even before back here, they're just to the day they pumped, to the day they stopped pumping together, right? The consolidation is a little bit different. It's not perfect. It's not identical, but it's pretty damn perfect. There's two thoughts that come from this, right? Why there's this connection between SwiftCoin. First, probably the most obvious thought would be somebody is investing in SwiftCoin with deep pockets and OnyxCoin with deep pockets, and they're investing in a similar way, right? Maybe they treat them the same. Or number two, maybe a little less obvious, and it might be true, it might be a stretch, we'll see, but maybe there's some kind of partnership going on between SwiftCoin and OnyxCoin that's just not publicly aware, like we're not publicly aware of. OnyxCoin is definitely trying to transact and do things across different chains. And SwiftCoin is the best, the cheapest, the fastest cross-chain transaction vehicle that we have in crypto. I really do. If it's not the best, it's one of the best, but I think it's the best. And OnyxCoin is built for institutional on-ramping, decentralized finance, lending, borrowing money, staking, all that stuff, the DAO, and then going from the Ethereum chain to what will then be the Onyx chain, the Goliath network. I mean, it's still going to be on Ethereum and Arbitrum to my knowledge, but that might all be made smoother with SwiftCoin. I don't know. Maybe not. That's the other thought that I'm running with there. But 00557. Let's talk about things that I know more about, which is charts than conspiracy theories. Looking at this here from a low to a high, we have gone down to our 1272. We're not having really the best reaction off of this, but we are having a nice reaction to some degree. It is odd to find support just above the 1414 rather than just below it, but whatever. If we can move back above the 886, that would be the first step toward providing that we are not going lower. Getting above the golden ratio ultimately provides that as well. But we've taken it a step further, haven't we? Right? 1.23 cents is nice. Getting above the golden ratio is nice. And from the fibs, it technically would validate this as a low and validate that we are going to move higher. But we're waiting not just for 1.23 cents, we're waiting for 1.4 cents. Once these highs break, that's when we get excited. Okay. It'll be exciting to close above the golden ratio, but I'll be most excited once we get above that level there, right? And it might seem kind of arbitrary or insignificant, but it is a significant level. If we look at this here, you know, prior resistance right here, prior support right here, it's kind of the heart of this overall drop that we've had. Support right there, resistance right there, resistance right there. Going back in time, I don't know. Do we have any significance? Somewhat. It's, you know, it's kind of in the middle of this range here, but it's a somewhat fairly significant range, especially for the entirety of 2025. From a high to a low, that would take us right in between our 382.5. The golden ratio is definitely the most important. 2 cents. 2 cents is definitely the most important. This prior resistance point here, that's the most important, because breaking out of diagonal trends is great, and we'll get that with this move up here. We'll definitely get that right there. Breaking out of downward trends, getting higher highs is great. It's great. But whenever you look back at a horizontal level, when we're looking at horizontal lines for resistance, this golden ratio right here, I mean, that's resistance there, resistance there, resistance there, resistance, 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 support, support. We go back in time, kind of right there at this area of resistance as well. And it's more of an area rather than a direct line. Here it's a direct line, but just, again, that 2 cent area, psychological resistance as well. That will be the most, and the golden ratio, of course, of the overall move. That will be the most significant place to cross. And once we get from here, the only thing we're thinking about is 1.3, 1.4 cents. Once we get above there, it's great. And then we're thinking about 2 cents. And then from there, it's on, man. It's really on. Once we get above 2 cents, then we're thinking about 9.4 cents at a minimum. 21 cents at a potential maximum. Something around here. Maybe we do see more growth than that. But again, because of how far we've dropped from a low to even the 1272, that's a 20x, right? A 20x from this low, maybe it's from this low here to this high here. That's what we got. We got like a 27. This move was effectively a 20x, right? So understand, from here, calling for anything up there, we're basically calling for this move that we had in the beginning of January. Now, it's a little bit different. This could take months to achieve, where this only took 2 weeks to achieve, right? But still, just understand that even though we had higher prices for a very long time, considered 26 to 32 cents, that doesn't mean that we're privy to anything that's above 9.4 cents. We really could stop right there. And I'm only emphasizing that so much because we say 9.4 cents to 21 cents, everybody thinks, okay, so this is the goal. Or okay, this is the minimum target here. We just kind of disregard the 9.4 cent. This very well could be exactly where we stop, is 9.4 cents, because that's also 10 cent psychological area. We might go right there. With this, we went just below our 1272 and went just above our 1414. Maybe we do the same thing. Maybe we hit 10 cents. We go a little bit through our 1272 here. We stop below the 1414. We stop right there at 10 cents or 11 cents. I do want to line this up too. I'm kind of curious. We take a high. Come on now. High to a low. Golden ratio lines up pretty well with that. You know, there is some symmetry here with the fibs, but nothing too crazy. Anyways, looking at the 1 hour time frame, zooming in now. Very boring, very flat. Which again, we typically don't see this happen for too long, right? We've seen it happen before. We have seen these long, boring periods here before. But I would assume that sometime next week we do break out, and hopefully to the upside. That's the expectation. The indicators aren't going to help us because we're moving sideways. On the 4 hour time frame, we get a little bit of help because it seems like there are some bullish implications here. The MACD is resting on top of the zero, finding support there. You're getting false crosses to the downside. To be fair, you're also getting false crosses to the upside, but you're holding above the zero, which is nice. Uptrending in your oscillator. Stronger readings on your histogram, readings that we haven't seen since October, when we actually were looking good in the very beginning of October. And the RSI is hanging out above the 50. It looks good too. So very neutral, very neutral. And of course it's going to be neutral. The price has been neutral, but in a bullish posturing nonetheless. Can we have a neutral but bullish posturing and still break down? Yes. Yes, we can. Don't be scared. Don't go panicking if we do see lower lows. It's okay if we see lower lows. What we want to see is, you see this volume here, if we do get lower lows, we don't want to see volume increase as we're dropping. We'd like to see volume increase, or at least be somewhat significant. It's okay if it's lesser volume, but somewhat of a significant spike still after the low is achieved and on the way back up. That would be nice. That would suggest that we're buying. Whether we get a higher low, a lower low, a double bottom, whatever the case may be. Just something to think about there. Daily time frame, looking at the indicators, the RSI, in all fairness, is in a nice posturing here. It is bearish overall, but I really do like that you broke out of this downtrend here. I'm aware that we're still in this downtrend over here, but you did break out of this downtrend. You did have bullish divergence. You are finding support at the 40 after rejecting the 50. That's a good look normally. Right, you rejected the 60 here, found the 40, boom. You rejected the, let's see, the 50 here, found support at the 40, boom. And that was back in January. Technically, actually, wow. Let me just see, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Wow. And this is just for fun. It doesn't mean, do not treat this like this is some kind of secret thing that's going to lead to a voluptuous upside. But look at this. The last time that we rejected the 50 and found support on the 40, the last time that we did that was all the way over here, where we rejected the 50 and then we found support on the 40. We found support on the 40 at various other points, but not after rejecting the 50 specifically. Right? The closest attempt that we've had to something like that was rejecting the 60 here and finding support at the 50, or rejecting the 60 here, finding support at the 50. You know what I mean? But this is different. This is coming from the down, where this is coming from the up down. This is coming from the down up. This would be more similar to this, if anything, not to this one. But this is the only one that's actually finding support at the 40 after rejecting the 50. But the difference there again is that we came from the down up. Not the up, from the top down, not the down to top, not the down up. I'm getting confused on the words here. And that was, well, right at the beginning of a very voluptuous move. Could it be that in a month from now, we see some stupendous upside? I think so. I think that within the next month, we definitely will see a nice break. And again, using this XCN BTC chart, this is what gives me a lot of confidence that I don't care if we go lower. If we go lower, it's going to be a very insignificant amount lower. We look at the weekly time frame here. This weekly MACD, I mean, first off, the stochastics, that bullish divergence there is awesome. It's like double, triple bullish divergence right there. It's phenomenal. You've been oversold for quite a long time. It makes sense that you'd come up. But we look at the MACD and this bullish divergence that you have with these higher lows here in the histogram, with these lower lows that have been going back here. I mean, we don't need to see XCN versus BTC at new highs to see a phenomenal amount of growth, right? Even a standard retracement within this range, which we're finding support, again, at prior areas of resistance here. We're also here, let me actually delete that, put a low to a high here. We're also right here at the golden ratio, finding support at prior very significant resistance here. And this point where we fell off a cliff, this kind of like support zone before we fell off a cliff right there, it's a significant level. I wonder too, if we take the high, low to high here, right there just below the 1414, as you typically would go. Can we go lower? Sure, but probably not much, again, is the idea. And when we do move higher, even a standard retracement from here, which would be at a bare minimum the 382 from the current valuation versus Bitcoin, that's a 100% pump. OnyxCoin right now, and that, by the way, this standard retracement would absolutely break out of this downtrend. Absolutely it would. So that's, we're starting something new, right? What happened the last time we broke out of a significant downtrend? I wonder. You know what I mean? Like, it just, was it a 1 week thing? Nope, it kept going. It kept going, man. I'm actually kind of curious. I've never looked at this in this light. I wonder how long did this last? 50 bars. 43. Pretty close. And again, what if we go lower? What if we do see slightly lower lows as time goes on? Maybe it is our 50th bar or our 52nd bar. Maybe it's sometime in January that we have our low. But soon enough, and again, soon enough does not mean next week, does not mean today. It could mean next month. It could mean 2 months. But soon enough, and relative to where we are here, we will not drop too much more, if at all. And soon enough, we will see, at a minimum, something that versus Bitcoin pumps 100%, which again, pumping versus Bitcoin 100% versus US dollars would likely imply that OnyxCoin has a more than 100% pump to go from here, right? So whenever we do recover, when we do have a relief rally at the at a bare minimum, it should undoubtedly take us back above 1 cent. We're at 0.00556. If it's going to grow 100% versus Bitcoin, and we already have that coded in there, programmed in there with this bullish divergence on the weekly MACD, the bullish divergence on the stochastics, which both have taken months to form. This is not a small thing. This is a very phenomenal opportunity. Even if I never invested in OnyxCoin before, if I just saw this, I'd be like, okay, this is probably at a good point to buy. This is actually probably a good thing to take a risk on, to take a little short-term trade on. You can put money in, and then once it pumps over 100%, you know that you're probably at a relative high at least. I mean, maybe we go all the way up to the golden ratio. Maybe this thing just pumps through the stratosphere. Who knows? But even in the short term, you could just take profits at something like this and still be fine, because you've got very, very strong reversal signals here with your stochastics and your MACD and the RSI even. 100% versus Bitcoin would likely mean that you grow more than 100% versus the US dollar, which would then actually imply that we see prices that are likely above 1.2 cents even. And then that's this area. That's this area that we're looking for. In other words, my friends, and likely it probably is going to be about 150% pump, because Bitcoin will likely pump in this time too. If XCN versus BTC is moving up 100%, I doubt that happens while Bitcoin's moving down or at these prices. Bitcoin will likely be at a higher price too. So the next move will effectively take us to this area of interest. I doubt that we blast through it on the first attempt. We probably do find resistance somewhere along here. Maybe we find support at 1 cent, psychological support, and then we continue to rally. I think this call here will age very well. I know a lot of my calls haven't aged well, but I think whether it happens in December, whether it takes until January for it to happen sometime soon, within the next 2 months, if not even within the next 2 weeks, we should see a voluptuous 100+% pump for OnyxCoin. And I think we're being fair. We're not being conservative with this 145% idea, or even like a 110% idea. We're not being conservative with that, but we're not overestimating either. We're being fair. Okay, that's a fair price. If anything, whenever we're being fair, I would expect, if I'm wrong, it would be because we pump so much harder, because we've been held down for so long. We might actually have more upside. Maybe we should be more bullish here, but I feel very confident that calling for something in this area around 1.3, 1.4, something above 1 cent sounds right to me. Anyways, I've got nothing else. I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to end the video there. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Take care of yourselves. We are just waiting for OnyxCoin to come back to life, and it will be soon. In that time, can we see lower lows? Yes. Right. Is everything that we just talked about out the window if we see lower lows? No. Likely, if we see lower lows, they will not be that significant in comparison to the rest of this drop. The worst has already happened, and that would likely just give us more bullish divergence. It's not anything to worry about. If we see something drastic, maybe then we can worry, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Anyways, hit the like button. Take care. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.